Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1.5 EU Championship. We're today for the Qatar Grand Prix, the penultimate round of the season. And a big turning point in the championship. Terence out on track, looking at another pole position here today. But their rival, Elwain, the championship leader, is not here. They will not be scoring points. And this is a massive opportunity for Terence to gain back a lot. Yellowek looks quick in qualifying. We know how strong Noldi's pace is in the race as well. Well, in the last couple of races, they've had some struggles with form. Can they bring it around and help Elwain today? Or is Terence going to find the perfect opportunity to bring themselves back into the championship? Currently 30 points difference in the championship, so 20 points would be absolutely magnificent. It's still going to be a tall order for Terence regardless, but they're looking to improve on their final run here to secure pole position. Still with 2 minutes to go, so not quite utilising track evolution, but they are giving themselves the best chance of a clean lap. Bringing that gap down to 10 points would mean that if Terence wins in Abu Dhabi and Elwain finishes P5, it's equal on points when they cross the line. And it would be based on whoever has the most race wins. And that would be Terence, who goes for another improvement, a 21.305. Can anyone strike back? Yellowek cannot. They cannot. They've spun and invalidated on their lap. It's not going to be an improvement. Yanaldi has another opportunity, and I mean, to be honest, does Yellowek have another opportunity? If they really get their hurry up around the circuit, there might be a chance, but do they have damage? They're not exactly travelling that quickly, so they might run out of time if they can't keep it together. It is Gravato going for their final run. Martunik and Swampy both in the pit lane. They will not improve. Sloffy in P6. They are not going to be... Sloffy retiring early on, I should say. And Isaac on track having issues with their connection. I'm not entirely sure if they're actually going to be in the race or not. I believe they are. The two higher tier drivers are Zingy and PJ in P9 and P10. It's currently Yanaldi though. We're looking on board for their final lap, as it will not be enough for Yellowek to go again. Terence makes their way to the pit lane after setting their final lap. We've got Yanaldi here, but it's Gravato who will finish their lap first. They got some experience from yesterday, and they'll do what they can today. They keep it valid. They've just got a few more corners to go. Nice and close on the inside curb there. It's very easy to get it wrong, especially in these final two. And the final corner, the oversteer that you can achieve, not that you want to, is absolutely monumental, but keeping it together, Gravato crosses the line, and they're going to jump up to P5 at 22.2. It's going to be, though, Yanaldi to compete for pole position, and they push themselves to P2, but they miss out on Terence. They will not quite get there, and the championship challenger finds themselves on top. Could it have been an Aston Martin pole position for the second time in 24 hours? That would have been very impressive indeed, but it will not be. It will be the usual. Terence on pole position. It's Yanaldi in P2 and Yellowek in P3. The race director's on your screen, and we'll be back in a bit for the race where Terence tries to get the cleanest of starts and make their championship comeback. Ready. Hold. Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? Terrence on pole position. It looks clean. Is it going to be clean by the time they get there? It will be. It's not. It's not. It's Yellowek to P1 off the start. Absolutely perfect for the Sauber side by side further down the field as Martunik tries to stay ahead of Sloppy Cravato right there to keep it competitive as well. And Isaac on track is in this race and looking for a move left and right. They can't find their way through. Is the hairpin going to be a call to action? They can't find it still. The outside line as a defensive throw is from the Ferrari. They're going to try and keep it, but they're too aggressive on the throttle, and that is going to lose them out big time. And here comes Zingy on the inside line, the higher tier driver trying to make the move on the mistakes of the others. It's side by side still, and now they slot in nicely. A brilliant start from Yellowek has jumped Terrence, and there's nothing that Terrence can do. Looking at the situation with the data, and we've got the tyre situation. It is Yellowek with the grip, and it looked like an initial launch of the Aegis from Terrence, but Yellowek just was able to get that later phase and really come through. And now they're going to try and utilise this medium tyre in the clean air. Terrence, it's their best interest, as always, to hold on to DRS of the car in front. As Zingy looks to try and make their way through the field a bit more. They're going to go for the dive. It looked like they were going to have a look on Martunik, but they did just avoid it. They did make that move on Cravato, and Isaac on track followed through. These guys raced each other on track yesterday. That is PJ off the circuit. No, it's not. It's Swampy off the circuit. PJ right behind, looking to try and make some progress if they can in a few moments. No one else is going to find a move into the hairpin as we saw a lap ago from Isaac on track. Well, they gained that position on Cravato. They lost the position to Zingy, although Zingy and PJ as higher tier drivers are on a different point system. What happened to Yanaldi in the early moments? They've not got any damage. I'm not entirely sure what the situation was. They were right up there on the pace for pole position, so it's not a pace situation. They have had an early issue in this race that's caused them to drop that far back. But look at how the top two are breaking away. 2 seconds in 2 laps. Absolutely flying from the field. There's nothing that anyone can do. Although Martunik is going to try and do something about it, I'm sure. Will we see Terrence also go for the move? The Williams has a clear shot with DRS now open into turn 1. Zingy's going to try and come through as well. That's going to get a little bit risky. They are going to only be able to make a move safely. They watch on board to see if they can spot a moment. That's a mistake for the Alpine. A switchback is available for the Williams, and it's a long way round that they're going to be shown by Sloppy. They're going to slot in. Zingy's going to try and go through it. 3 wide for a moment. This can't go right. It can. Zingy will get there. No. Isaac on track is forced off the circuit. And now, oh, that is interesting. The Alpines decided to find their way through, and they try to hold on. But it is Isaac on track who does get in front eventually. And they manage to secure the position. Close the door quite nicely, just safely. And that is how it's done. Yanaldi had a bit of a moment there. It looked like that's maybe the yellow, or that was Cravato actually who had a little bit of a yellow moment. No damage on the car, so they're all good to go, but the battling is definitely allowed Yanaldi to catch up a little bit more on their hard tyre, so the race is not over. They've still got a long stint on this white wall tyre to go. Isaac on track, of course, making that move on Sloppy. Zingy also went to go for it. And Martunik now is left with the 2 cars directly behind them in a very hungry position for a move. And they have DRS at their discretion. There it is. Zingy moves to the left. Makes the clean move. It's going to be Isaac on track who tries to dive it down the inside. There's contact. That was not clever at all. Isaac on track makes contact to make the move, and they've still maintained the position, so Martunik is not going to be happy, and if they return the position then they'll probably be alright, but it's not happened. And unfortunately Martunik's now lost that position. They are on hard tyre, so they can still come back into this race. It's very much not over. They're just thankful that they've still got a front wing here in Losail. I'm sure they'll be able to keep that for the rest of the race, and if they can, they'll have a good race ahead of them and be ready to score some good points. We've got PJ in the train here with Swampy and Slothy. Are we going to see a move from the Mercedes driver? That's the question. Zingy puts in the fastest lap, bringing Isaac on track with them, and it is Mark Tunick just out of DRS range. And Mercedes is never going to get there. No way are they going to send it on the brakes from that far back. And they will just have to slot in, and that is very close. PJ is going to spot that and realise I need to get through, but they've got distracted. They've gone off track limits. And that's going to affect them when they cross the line pretty badly. They will carry that for the rest of the race. You can't serve it in the pit lane. And they've got to hope that other drivers do have struggles. It is lap 5 of the Qatar Grand Prix, one of the most difficult circuits to keep within track limits. We saw both P1, P2 and P3, until it wasn't P3, have multiple time penalties in the race. I think only 1 or 2 drivers actually avoided any kind of time penalty. But the race winner and the fighter for the win all had some form of penalty. That is Swampy getting one immediately after as well, as they try and keep it within track limits, but also in the dirty air. And that is another track limit, it looks like, so they've got to keep it together. There's DRS, and they're a lot closer than they were before. Here's the move, surely. We're also getting Terence and Yellowek fighting it out side by side, but we'll go back to this battle to see if we can get the overtake. It's not going to happen. The Mercedes was not able to get there, and they just have to slot in behind, but Terence is finding the patience now is running out. They want to get past the Sauber car. Zingy has made that move and holding on to DRS on the back of the Haas car. Isaac on track has been brought through, and they're not a higher tier driver. They are racing for position. This has jeopardised Terence's race. Now, yes, they are starting on the hard tyre, and they've got a long stint ahead of them and a faster compound to go to, at least briefly, towards the end of this race. But it's definitely affected how easy this race is going to be, and it's not going to be easy. They've got a medium tyre in front of them and 2 medium tyres behind them, and one of those drivers behind is a current tier driver. This could get very tricky. There's a track limit surely for Yellowek as they go off the circuit. Here's the move now. Terence has to go for it, otherwise they're going to get overtaken themselves. They blast the battery. They're not going to get there by the time the corner arrives, and they will have to spend one more lap in between the sandwich. And the pressure will be rising. We get more battling into turn 1. Further behind, the Alpine stays in front of the Mercedes. Swampy can't find a way through. PJ surely looking for something. Are we going to see a move here into the following corner, turn 4 and 5? It's going to be tough. The outside line is not going to be made. But now, the hairpin, the inside, can it be chosen? They will go for the late move. Absolutely incredible. No. Oh, they've just pushed them off the circuit. The inside line's now available for the Alpine, and they will have a go, and they will get back through. Just, if they didn't push the Alpine off the circuit, it would have been perfect. PJ watching this battle happen, trying to find a way through, but they can't quite get there. In the meantime, we've seen Terence drop down to P4, Zingy go to P1, Isaac on track up to P3 and Yellowek down to P2. What a mix-up. Unfortunately, we did miss that after this battle here. That will continue, but now we get another lap. DRS will kick in. I don't think it's going to affect too much. Although that is Isaac on track, very close to the back of Yellowek. Yellowek has a clean shot at gaining DRS range. But we'll go back to turn 1 and see if we can get any more battling. Here comes PJ looking for the double overtake. Can they use the momentum to get the job done? They will conserve themselves and manage to brake in time to make the corner and just slot in to P2 of this train. Yinaldi, though, is now back in this race. After all the battling, they've been brought back into contention and are looking for something here. Oh, Isaac on track, down the order. I don't believe it. They must have spun, surely. There was no chance that any drivers making an overtake in that train. They were all evenly split, but now it's changed. That being said, the fact that Yellowek is 2 seconds behind Zingy, maybe, just maybe there was an incident. As Terrence is now bunched right up, there's no damage on any of the cars. So I don't know if it's a tangle up between the tyres or not. But Isaac on track is down and having to rebuild on that again. That is Yinaldi going for a decisive move down the inside even before the DRS zone. They're looking to make progress as soon as humanly possible. And Terrence makes that move as they go for the move on Yellowek early on in the DRS zone, and that will not be contested. Mark Tunick catching up to this battle now as they're on the hard tyre, and Terrence really feels the pressure. They're now racing against the driver who's on exactly the same strategy. They have to run away before Mark Tunick catches up, and there it is. PJ goes for the move around the outside. The Alpine's going to try and come back through. It's not going to work. They don't oh, that's never going to happen, is it? That's unfortunate for PJ. As Slothy doesn't keep it tight to the apex. Oh, and Yinaldi's down the order again as they lose the rear. There's to PJ, not giving it an inch this time. They will go for the inside. They will get the move done. Slothy still tries to hold on, but it's a little bit too late now. There's no chance that they're making a move. That was a tricky one. Now, PJ into turn 1 wasn't really left or... well, was kind of forced to the outside by Slothy, so Slothy's got to be careful here because it's not going really that well. They've got to keep themselves out of trouble. Otherwise they're going to find themselves facing the wrong way round on this circuit. Yellowek's tyres are dying. Terrence has broken away and Mark Tunick is trying to catch to DRS range, but they will have to wait another lap for that to happen. And are very close to the back of the Alpine, although with DRS is the Mercedes. There's a bit of a lag there, unfortunately, and another lag, so they're not going to be able to make that move into the first corner. But the exit speed might be there, you know. They look to the inside. They've got the better tyres at this stage of the race. Just not entirely confident in where the Alpine is going to position their car in this battle. I think we're going to have to go and check in on Mark Tunick. Oh, and that's going to be very light contact as it got very close into the hairpin. Mark Tunick shortly will be trying to go for a move on Yellowek, but I think they're also opting for a DRS overtake to make it a bit safer. It does mean that they lose some time to Terrence, however. Now is the DRS overtake possible here for Mark Tunick? They're using what they have available, but a bit too far back this time around. The battle will continue a bit further behind. Stumpy gets a 3-second time penalty, but they are in prime position to make a move. There's that contact there. As there's a late defence from the Alpine, a wide berth from the Mercedes, and the move eventually made. Righto, down in P10 at the moment. They have made the first pit stop of this race a few laps ago, getting that new grip in. A little bit early for a pit stop, but they are on hard tyre, so never say never. Isaac on track, doing a good job at trying to catch back up. They are on this medium tyre, so should they be able to hold on to the back of Mark Tunick? No. But a strong pace is a very good start regardless. And now looking back with Yellowek and Mark Tunick. Yellowek doesn't go to the pit lane this time. Mark Tunick is right there, ready to go. They've not got much battery. They are looking for the move on the brakes though. They will have the grip. And surely it's not going to be much of a contest by the time we get to the exit of the corner. There you go. That's the move done. That's the move made. That is the hard tyre. And off the circuit with the medium, Yellowek goes, who's struggling for grip now. They've lost that position. They've experienced dirty air once more. And there you go. Look at that. Just running away with it. They've got Isaac on track, 2 seconds behind. Slothy into the pit lane. Onto the soft compound tyre. I'm not entirely sure on that strategy. Never say never again, as I just said a few moments ago. Or maybe I should just not say never, because it's getting a bit old. But regardless, soft tyres, they are going to struggle around here. And I'm not entirely sure how it fits into a strategy. But the laps will continue and we will find out. Terence, the championship contender, strongly out in P1 at the moment. And leading this race by a decent way. Yellowek and Isaac on track, however, follow each other into the pit lane. And look to make a strategy difference here. They go onto the hard tyre as expected. Yanodi and Swampy will move ahead as Yanodi also makes the overtake. PJ is directly in front of these guys on the same compound. Should be on similar tyre wear. It depends on who's managed their tyres best. Yellowek and Isaac on track now, pretty much dead on with each other. That was a very good pit stop from Isaac on track to gain all that time on the Sauber car, because they weren't that close before. Definitely finding a lot of pace and actually already in a position to try and make a move. Around the outside they're looking for it. That's not going to work out too well surely. They now have the momentary inside line. They will continue through. It's off the circuit slightly. Oh, and the switchback. Well, I don't know if that was a switchback. It was more of a fake move that didn't quite work in the end. They gave it their best shot. As long as they can hold on to DRS range, they might be able to come back. I think that was a lot of battery there used by Isaac on track to make that move. They really did not want to give that one up. That thingy into the pit lane. They dropped to P4 in this race. They're going to come out. Well, it looked like it was going to be side by side, but they will just have to slot in behind the Mercedes in the end. DRS for Yellowek using the battery. All is available and they will swoop around the outside. That is a brilliant one. The hands are in the air from the crowd. The inside line now available once more, but the outside grip opening the steering wheel nice and wide. It is Isaac on track who will get there. They'll continue to go side by side, and this time it might be made. Oh, there's contact. Of course. It's not going to work out. You can't stick your nose in there. The car to the outside is ahead. You've got to back out. It did not happen. Yellowek now down to P8, 3.4 seconds away from Isaac on track. And that's exactly, as said in the chat, the situation that they're not aware of. This fighting has only made it easier for Terence. Now Terence only has to worry about Mark Tunick, who's on their same strategy. And Mark Tunick, well, they're 3.6 seconds away. So currently, Terence has no worries at all. That is Zingy going for the move on Yanaldi on their fresh tyres. And Yanaldi is not going to fight that. They know that Zingy is a higher tier driver as well. Now PJ, also a higher tier driver. Are they going to allow Zingy to go through? Well, they're not exactly allowing them to go through, but they haven't really got the resource to fight them with the tyre wear that they've got. Oh, and that was a big snap of oversteer on a very worn tyre that they've just about managed to keep together. Yanaldi wants to have a look. Left and right they go, and then back onto the racing line they will slot. And the pit stops are still yet to come. And about 1 to 2 laps we'll see a few drivers come in who've started on this hard compound. We'll get to see Isaac on track, Yellowek and Cravato come out back on track somewhere in the mix, and also Sloppy as well, although that soft tyre is going to be interesting. Ooh, completely off the circuit is PJ. What was going on now? I think they must have forgotten where the pit lane entry was. Almost speeding into the pit lane. Very well held on entry. I blinked, saw PJ completely off the circuit. I think we were all a bit confused there for a moment. Isaac on track goes through as they will gain those positions. So will Yellowek and so will Cravato. Where does the Alpine come out in the mix of all of this? It's going to be pretty clearly in front with that soft tyre. Bumpy was right behind the Racing Bull, but not for too long. Terence, Mark Tunick out front, 3.6 seconds. Managing the pace is Terence, it looks like. At least matching the pace of Mark Tunick directly behind. Terence dives into the pit lane a lap earlier. Well, actually, no. On exactly the lap that we saw yesterday from most of the drivers. Mark Tunick goes for a 1 lap extension. Now, it is possible to react. The 1 lap extension can work, but if you go more than one, you are going to struggle, especially when the tyres get to their oldest stage. Yanaldi going for the move now as they're not making a pit stop. And this is going to be an interesting watch as we look to see how quickly Terence can gain on their fresh medium tyres to the back of the Aston Martin. 3.3 seconds we have right now, and some heavy downforce high grip corners are coming up, especially a big old hairpin. Still having to get used to this medium tyre though, that is part of the game. But also saving the tyre wear for later on in this race. They don't want to just make an overtake on Yanaldi for the sake of it, just to see how fast the tyres are, if Yanaldi's going to pit soon anyway. It does not make sense, and actually it's probably in your best interest to just manage your pace at your own rate and allow the other car in front to get out the way safely by going into the pit lane. Mark Tunick has found their way into the pits. Zingy goes for the fastest lap and the lead of the Grand Prix. Yanaldi stays out, and that's going to be a bit of a headache here for Terence. 1.5 seconds, they've gained about 1.5 seconds just previously. Mark Tunick is going to be leaving the pit lane behind Isaac on track. I think they'll come out just in front of Yellowek. If not, it's going to be side by side. it will be just out in front of the Sauber car. So nicely slotted in. But back to here. Will we have a look? No. We're going to go back to see what's going on in P8 as the defence goes to the middle of the circuit. It's PJ who goes to the racing line, and Swampy will have to sit behind. There's a little bit of light contact. That was close, but just far enough. Ginaldi waiting for the inevitable as Terence has their grip, shows it, and looks to push for the move. In the meantime, Swampy has made the move on Sloppy on those dying soft tyres at this stage. Ginaldi's moving out of the way from Terence, not willing to fight them in a very different race. Their strategies are different, their situations are different. The championship positions, well, they were both fighting for it previously. Ginaldi is no longer in that championship battle. But a few races ago, this would have been a fierce duo on track. It's now completely changed. Multiple race winner Ginaldi this season so far, looking to show more promise in future seasons as well. Isaac on track, trying to hunt down Terence as they're on their alternate strategy. Well, really, they're usually on they're kind of considered on the normal strategy, whereas Terence is on the alternate strategy. It depends on what game you're in. F1.24, hard, medium. F1.25, medium, hard. Sloppy has also made a pit stop to go for some fresh hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. And Swampy just drops back a little bit from PJ, but finds himself comfortably in front of Gravato and Sloppy, gaining positions. And of course they'll gain 2 positions because of the higher tier drivers, which will be a big advantage. The P6, that's a time penalty in the meantime for Mark Tunick, and Ginaldi finds themselves into the pit lane. Another time penalty for Swampy as well. Medium tyres, very late on into this race, making the final pit stop they were expecting to see. And they will try and utilise their pace to cut through the field as best as they can. Considering their closest rival is probably the only car that they can really overtake, Swampy being automatically promoted ahead of PJ and Zingy because they're a current tier driver. They're looking at P4 here. Terence gets a 3-second time penalty, and that makes their race a little bit more complicated. Isaac on track. All of that battling will have cost them. It will have cost them a lot. Their hard tyres may be faster by the time we get to the final laps of this race, but that's just the final few laps. As long as Terence can keep it clean, I think this race is still theirs to win. Isaac on track, trying to match the pace at this stage of the race. But once more, if you take it into consideration, had that battling not occurred previously with Yellowek, as aggressive as it was, we may have been seeing a different story, and Terence would have been very much under threat. And as we speak, Isaac on track gets a 3-second time penalty. Everything now is an even playing field, and Mark Tunick is directly behind, also with a 3-second time penalty. So now Isaac on track cannot relax at all, otherwise they might lose their P2 for the current tier driver ranking. Yellowek without a time penalty. They're hoping for a safety car. And so is Ginaldi and Sloppy. Off he retires. I hope that's not a safety car. Not exactly the ideal way to retire. We should be all good. Zingy leads on lap 22 out of 29. It's Terence right there, but it is as a contract going for defence as Mark Tunick is on the attack, swooping around the outside. They look for it, sticking their nose in as close as you will ever get and going over track limits just for good measure. Is Isaac on track and the Williams is through. One lap fresher tyres than Terence as well, even more dangerous with the situation. That is going to be huge. Yanaldi sets the fastest lap of the race as they try and go further. It's Swampy into the pit lane for a set of softs to the end of the race. Now if DRS is maintainable by Isaac on track, then they have a very good chance at regaining this position by the time they get to the checkered flag. But if that DRS is lost, then I don't see a way that Isaac can get back through. Mark chewing through the medium tyres, but they are also battling. It's not making it easy. And using the battery, Isaac on track is coming back through. Is it going to go side by side into turn one again? No. The sensible decision is made, and we will see the Williams slot in directly behind. And this can go to plan. Might help them catch Terence. With the lack of laps that we have in this race though, I'm not entirely convinced on how that will go. It's going to be more of a mind game situation with a chessboard at hand for these guys. As Yellowek gets their first time penalty of the evening. Time penalty wise, everybody that has one has a 3-second time penalty. It's set from PJ with a 6-second and Swampy with 15. Very tricky circuit for time penalties. You do have to be understanding. This is the closest battle that we've got out on track right now. Zingy leads the way. Terence, for the current tier drivers, is currently in P1 and trying to gain 20 points on the 30-point deficit that they have to their teammate in the championship. It's a yellow there for Swampy in the background, but no safety car will be deployed. Mark Tunick and Isaac on track battling for glory, and it will continue lap after lap after lap. No battery available, but overtakes and bravery is, as they trade the blows, and they will continue to do so all the way to lap 29 it looks like. Yellowek in P5 after a brilliant qualifying and showing some brilliant pace at the beginning of the race as well. It's just dropped off a little bit later on. PJ sat in P6, struggling at the beginning of this race. That's why they've got that 12-second gap now. And Yanaldi in a very similar situation to PJ. Gravato had to make an early pit stop. That's what's affected them. And Swampy, having 2 sets of soft tyres to their strategy, has put them down the order by quite a way. And this battle will continue to heat up. It's definitely at this point that you're thinking, okay, well, I might not be able to overtake and secure the position, so I'm going to have to think of a different way. I need to sit behind, save everything possible, and then go for the move on the final lap. Well, you can only say that if you're able to keep pace with the car in front safely. I think that these guys can, but they're constantly pushing each other, and they don't need to be. They're not gaining any time to Terence. On the lap 25 out of 29, I think I would be looking at writing off that from the equation. Unless anything dramatic was to occur, of course, but really focusing at what's in the present. What would be a nice present is 2 extra points as Isaac on track finds track limits once more. Mark Tunick has a safety net. It's a 6-second time penalty to the McLaren driver. The Williams will be able to have a sigh of relief. Relax to the final few laps. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not going to be relaxing, is it? Isaac on track is right behind them. They're going to want to fight it. And actually it is Isaac's best interest to fight this position, to try and force the Williams into some sort of mistake. The battery is not going to be available to have a go into the first corner. Can they go for glory, or are they going to try and get a time penalty removed and still make this position on track? Checking in with Yellowek just for a moment. As they once again had a very strong qualifying performance. And we've got Yanori, who's made that move on PJ and breaking away after the tyre switch. They eventually got there. 13.4 seconds to Yellowek though. I don't think we're going to see that come back. And then back on to our closest battle on track. This is where it is. The McLaren will be in striking range once more. Battery range, I'm not sure. P2 is on the cards. And there you go. Flying through, both blasting everything that they had. It was the McLaren who had the momentum with the rear wing open. On lap 27 out of 29, Yanaldi goes and puts the fastest lap of the Grand Prix in as PJ makes a pit stop. Does get a time penalty for speeding, but I guess is looking for fastest lap, although you don't score a point for the fastest lap these days in the F1 game. It's more of a bragging right, really. Grumpy unfortunately won't be able to stick with PJ here. 5-lap old tyres versus fresh, out of the box, soft tyres, no questions. Isaac on track now, sat in front of Mark Tunick. Of course, Mark has that 3-second time penalty advantage, with Isaac on track having 6 seconds. So they can really relax here. They don't need to risk their front wing. I feel like they do still want to make this move on track. And they are going to gain. They are still going to put the pressure on. They're still going to look for the outside line. They go all the way up to the edge. They lose the momentum. And the McLaren will hold on once more. It's going to be the final lap for the final attack. For the final move to go to the checkered flag. The question really is, can these drivers save enough battery to make the difference? And you know what? The driver that we've forgotten about in this race is driving absolutely perfectly. Terence, currently out in P2 for the current grid, and P1 for the current tier drivers. A 14.5 second gap to Zingy, but it does not matter. 7.8 seconds in front. of Isaac on track, and they've got a 3-second time penalty. That's absolutely brilliant. They start the final lap, and they really look to try and make this one count. Mark Tunick, in the meantime, has unfortunately just lost DRS range, trying to fight the grip, and in doing so, lost the ability to fight for the final lap. PJ does get the fastest lap for the bragging right, as they also make the move on Cravato into turn 1 for good measure as well. Zing, in the meantime, gets a 3-second time penalty on the final lap, as they did so last time yesterday, and they win the Qatar Grand Prix through domination. They are going to be happy with that one. But really, the talk of the town goes to Terence once more. Terence gains 20 points on the championship. Terence wins the Qatar Grand Prix. Absolutely perfection. It's Isaac on track who will cross the line in P3, but it's Mark Tunick who will take it in front of the McLaren. P3 for Isaac on track, finishing the podium for the EU drivers, and Yellowek will take that P4 quite nicely. Yanaldi, a phenomenal recovery considering where they were at the beginning of this race. And then PJ with that fastest lap, going for some final lap action with making that overtake on the Ferrari. And Cravato will slot in behind and get promoted 2 positions because of the higher tier drivers, of course, regardless of whatever the time penalty situation is. Swampy in P9. They will score points for P7. There it is, Cravato to P7. They'll actually get P6 because they'll be promoted ahead of Zingy, and that's how that one goes. What a race. What a race. And now it's 10 points going into the championship finale. That's the difference between Elwain and Terence. Zingy takes victory in Qatar once more. It's Terence in P2 and Mark Tunick in P3. Isaac on track, Yellowek, Yanaldi, Cravato, PJ and Swampy. DNFing earlier on was Sloppy. The race directors on your screen and the instance section 2. And then we will head over to the pit stop section, followed by the session results. We'll see you in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Qatar Grand Prix. That was one hell of a race, lots of points gained for many drivers. We start with you, Mark. Mark, that was a long old race, lots of battling all the way to the end. You did get a very nice P2 in the end. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, actually, I'm happy. I'm not really usually good at Qatar, so the pace was kind of surprising. I mean, it was kind of on and off, some decent pace, and then I fell off, and then some decent pace again. But overall, I'm happy.
Yeah, it looked like you were definitely going to be fighting for the victory at the beginning, and then qualifying was also pretty good. But yeah, a brilliant step, and you really gave us a good show. So thank you very much, Mark. And I hope we can see you one final time for the finale. If not, thank you very much. It's been a great season.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks.
And we move on to Terence. Terence, how about that? Perfect stuff for you today. You made it matter when it counted. 20 points to gain on the 30 from Elwayne. It's now 10 points difference into the final race. Is it a bit more manageable now? Do you think you can still get the job done? And remember, if you do end up on level points after Abu Dhabi, that does mean that you would take victory because you have more wins than Elwayne.
I, at this moment, I still don't think that is manageable because he needs to be P5 the next weekend. But I would say is a nice improvement from last week, which I didn't touch my wheel so often. Still now, the same, but seems that my pace is a little bit coming back. I didn't expect that I just being 3/10 slower than my PB in Qatar quali, but and seems that I was losing maybe 5/10 per lap compared with my best performance in this track, but it's still win, so maybe the margin is too big. But I don't think that is a perfect drive because I get 3 seconds and a little bit wheel spin at a corner exit which nearly spin, but I managed to handle it on track. So luckily the wall isn't as tight as Jeddah, so
Yep.
DNF won't happen. I think it's a nice progress if you look at the championship point, but it's still a 10 points deficit for me, so it would be tough. It would be I need a miracle next weekend.
Miracles can come true. We'll see. Thank you very much, Terence. Really good effort today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And we move on to Zingy. Zingy, a nice walk through the field at the beginning. It did look like it was a bit of a chaotic one, but you got there in the end. Unfortunately, I don't mean to be rude, but you did get yourself a 3-second time penalty on the final few laps again.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Just a nice little drive for the field. We had a McLaren who was channeling his inner terrorist, but I like the battle. I like the aggressiveness shown from him, and I think everyone else displayed good battling today. And I was very impressed with the quality of driving as well, which is also very nice. Just fighting my way through the field, and then once I made it to the front, I was just kind of driving by myself, just kind of relaxing really, although my back started to hurt towards the end. But it was good fun. I enjoyed it.
Fair enough. Well, I was going to say for carrying the team, but as a reserve driver, it doesn't really work. So I hope your back gets better soon. Thank you very much, Zingy. Really well done today. I don't know what I'm saying. Right, anyway, Yellowek for the final interview. Yellowek, brilliant pace in qualifying, and it was looking very, very good at the beginning of the race as well, right there with it. A perfect start, I should say. How did it go later on into the race? Are you happy with the result today?
I'm definitely surprised with my pace. It was better than I expected. I hate this track so much. So Yeah, I'm happy with the pace. I'm not happy with the final result. I mean, P4 is pretty decent, but you know, when you lead for half of the race and then you end up P4, that's not satisfying. Uh, at least for me. But yeah, I mean, I was fighting too hard with Isaac, and since we were on the same strategy,
Yep.
it just made the race much easier for Terence. Then, I mean, that was a brilliant drive from him. Don't get me wrong, but you know, we should undercut him. He was within 2 seconds, and we lost, I think, 4 seconds in 3 laps on fresher tires, on completely fresh tires. So this fight was, let's say, a bit stupid. I should give up and then, you know, drive to the end. That should be P3, I believe. But yes, later we had contact, I spoon. So I don't think it was his bad. It was more like racing incident. So, yeah, overall I'm not that sad. Or not, I'm pretty happy. Oh yes, that's better.
Do you think if the battling were to happen, would you be able to compete for P1?
I would easily get P3, I believe, because as me and Isaac, we lost a lot of time, so we would get Mark easily. And with P1, that would be more tricky, but it would be possible. And also, I had the lowest downforce on the grid, I believe, so it would be pretty easy to defend for me.
Don't tell
But
me you just. Don't tell me you used 1-1.
no,
No,
bro,
okay. I was
not
seeing
that
the
terrible.
chat. I was worried there for a second.
No, I was using 1-0. No, just kidding.
No.
25-16.
Still very low for Qatar. Fair enough. Big respect to do what you did today. Thank you very much, Yellowek. You did a very good job. You should be happy with the drive. It was very enjoyable to watch, especially at the beginning. We'll see you next time. And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next weekend for the finale in Abu Dhabi. I can't wait. See you then. Bye-bye.